hello everyone, and welcome to a little special tour in Isla Napali. But I'm not alone. I'm joined by the lovely Chanté. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Good to hear you. Oh, yeah, I'm doing really good. I mean, circumstances being that way, but I'm doing good. What about you?
Yeah, all good. We are working from home, the Frontier team. So I'm doing this recording in my room. I hope it sounds okay.
It does. It's really decent.
I actually lost the microphone adapter to my headset when I only moved like a month ago, and in the process of moving, I remember looking at the microphone and I put it in the wrong bag and I can't find it. So I'm using like a really terrible adapter. I rang Bo just before you rang me to check that it sounded okay. So I hope it does. I was a bit worried about it, but other than that, I'm doing good.
At least for me, it's really decent.
Well, I hope it is for the community as well. But,
so we're looking at Isla Napali, and we just had a chat before, people. And the cool thing is, Chanté does already know a little bit of the project. So here's Rudy from the future. So this episode is going to be very long. It's going to be a really lovely little podcast. So if you don't have any popcorn or something to drink yet, please make sure to pause the video, get yourself some drinks, get yourself some food, and sit back, relax, and enjoy this wonderful talk. There is so much in here, and Chanté is giving a lot of insights from Frontier. So please stick with us. It's going to be very awesome, and you're going to enjoy it, I promise. So now let's get back to the video and enjoy the tour with a lovely talk to Chanté. But we're looking obviously not at the final product. This is, surprisingly, the very first draft of this island. I think it was second episode, the result of second episode. We're looking at. And now let's just do the following. Look at that. Isn't that a cool effect?
Ooh!
Oh my god.
That's a good transition. I wasn't expecting that. I didn't even know that was a picture. I thought this was like an old save.
Boom. No, because then we would have sit here for like half an hour and waiting for it. I did boot.
Oh, it looks so good.
Yeah. So you can decide, where do we start the tour? Do we start the tour at the new entrance or do we start in the old town?
I think let's go old first so we can reminisce.
Okay, let's go old town first.
Then we can... Oh, yeah, it's there. That's so cool.
We're just going to quickly delete this because otherwise we will see this the whole time. All right, let's move over. We're going to make a good old classic Tejit Cam tour. We just need to find someone Tejit Cam. Also, little hint, guys. The performance obviously won't be that good. Because obviously the park is totally not detailed, and it's definitely not because I used too many pieces, and it's also not because custom roofs. I wouldn't never do this. Okay, so
Bo has just told me to say hello to everyone as well. But I was just thinking I was watching as I said, before we start talking, I was watching some of your videos today, and you said that you weren't a big fan of flat rides. And I just want to know how that can be the case, because flat rides are so good. They're so much fun.
It's not that I don't have fun. It's almost like the kick of a coaster is like so much better that I'd rather stand in line for like half an hour on the coaster rather than going on a flat ride 3 times. But honestly, there are a lot of amazing flat rides, and also I do like fun fairs and stuff. So yeah, I do like flat rides, but just in comparison to all the awesome coasters out there, and I mean the last couple of years have been amazing in terms of coasters. So. That's why. It's like I don't hate them, but it's like I favor coasters.
Yeah, I do like a mix myself.
Okay.
But I think I would, obviously, if I was to queue for a long time at a theme park, I would rather queue for a coaster than queue for like 2 flat rides. But there are some great ones out there. So I like this helicopter.
Yeah, this is the central hub for the staff to come in via helicopter, and there's obviously a little harbor here. But this is the starting point actually, because here that's my little Easter egg in terms of Jurassic Park. Because back in the day where I built this, it was along the time of Jurassic World Evolution release, and it kind of was a little bit of an idea because Hawaii, and especially the island of Kauai, which this is based on, has this waterfall with the helicopter pad on the island, so it's where it has been filmed. And so this is the little connection why I built this, purely aesthetic wise, because it has no function at all. All right, yeah. So if we continue from the helipad, which is obviously just without any function, it's just there. It's just purely aesthetic-wise. Before we go into the park, this is the entrance area for the old harbor. And as you can see, there is a little ship here, and it brings something in. And the idea was back in the... So this whole project was always meant to be a great interaction between me and my viewers. And there's been a lot of forth and back discussions about what we do and, what has been in here and not. And this ride didn't make it in a poll. So I had a poll which ride goes in as the last addition to the park. And that one didn't make it. Just ever so slightly. And so I decided,
that's so sad.
Let's give it a little still a little place, and so it's almost like it has been delivered via ship already, but not yet installed. So
it's a cute idea. I can get behind it. I don't know why it lost. It's a great ride.
It is.
Which one over it?
I think it's a breakdance ride, which I don't know exactly
fair.
the name of in Planko, but this is the entrance area, and we do have also, this was really cool. We have a lot of these billboards in here, and I did a billboard contest. I think it was a DLC giveaway, and we did a little contest of people that should give me some cool quotes and stuff about this island, and people came up with really cool ideas with the different things on the island. So everything you will see on these billboards is not only done by me, it's also by the viewers, and there's some cool little inside jokes in here.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that idea.
Yeah, that's actually worked out more or better than I even expected, to be honest. Because that was at a time, I have to be very honest here, I was at a time when I came back from honeymoon and restarted my channel, so to say. It wasn't really working that well, so it's not comparable with the views I have today. And so back in the day, the interaction was so great and so important, because like nearly everyone who watched the video was really interacting, and that was just the best time ever. So we do have this little motel here. This is only for the staff. Actually, there are also, let me show you, all the staff rooms in. So
cool.
Every staff room in here, they're actually working. So that's cool. So all the staff, when they're getting tired, they come back here and get for a rest. I just wanted to show you something in here because we have a whole bunch of Easter eggs. This is a little sports ground for the staff members, so it's not as nice and it's not as tidy, the basketball play field here. And then we have a look at that. We have this little area over here.
That's so good.
And this birdie decided to kick over some of the cups and just destroyed this little corner over here.
I'm loving it.
There's a ball in the tree, and so
this is great. This is such a commitment to detail. I mean, it's definitely, if your park is like this as a whole, it's definitely gonna cause some performance issues. But I'm loving it. I love this. I really like this Let's Play because I really love like the tropical kind of like island themes that I've seen throughout like Planet Coaster development when people would make their own Let's Play series. And like tropical was actually quite popular, which to be honest, I wasn't really expecting. But I think it's just because the like foliage is very like luscious. But I love the feel of this island. Like I would definitely be like, okay, if I was going to go to like a warm country, I would definitely be like, okay, this theme park is on an island, so we have to go.
I think also this what really encouraged me was that this all is story driven, so that nothing was like, okay, I build it because I want to build it. It was always trying to take a story in and try to think of what could have been the story behind that, and let people decide and let people actually get crazy, and then getting from these ideas into it and trying to build off of them. It's kind of a really great creative idea to do. Like it's really like an interactive brainstorming. We are getting in now. So this is the old part. So we come in this entrance, and this is already the first little thing. We have a go-kart track here on the left-hand side, and this is kind of reusing the old harbor area. So the idea was, if there is a go-kart ride, we obviously would put that somewhere where there is a lot of space. You wouldn't put that in the center of the island, which it has been at the beginning. and people told me, no, Rudy, that's that's not where it belongs. And we just decided to go. Oh my God, I need to be very careful to go that letter. There we go. I just want to go into this control tower. So we do have this control tower over here, and you have kind of a good look. You can see the whole track. and can see the carts going around and see basically all the track. And here's a little cute little thing. For the areas where you cannot see, we have some security cameras.
I love it.
And fun fact,
so detailed.
These are actually the exact positions. See that image over here? There in the back you can see there's the cam on that post over there.
This is such
so
a
it's
good
exactly
idea.
that one. I'm, for your devs now, for a future Planko update or another version of Planko, we need live cams, okay? Live
That's
security
so cool.
cams.
That's good.
Yeah, and that one is this is pointed in the other direction. So that's one to the right, that's to the left. So you always have the overview of where we are. Okay, now we have an even better overview because we landed on the roof. Oh god. Okay, so I need to just change back into Tedget cam again. Let me just fly over. Let's do it quickly. Fly over with a lot of people here. I have to say, performance in Tedget cam is a lot better. So let's get quickly back into Tedget cam. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so this is it. Yeah, that's the little go-kart track over here. Circuit Napali is the name. Also, some of the names are obviously provided by the viewers. I'm not as creative with the names though. So do you have a favorite in this park? Which something you do remember?
No, I was like, I remember that I really loved just the feel of the island. You made it very green, which is something that I was like, I'm one of these people that I find coaster building to be quite easy, but I find filling in the gaps of like between path and like attractions to be really difficult. So when I was watching, I used to spend a lot of time watching your like foliage building. But
that's also
when it comes to like when it comes to like rides, I am like, oh yeah, that one's cool. I'll watch the like the on board cam. I'm like, yeah, looks great. But then when it's like foliage, I'm like, yeah, I love that foliage. That's a great usage of that plant and things like that. I was actually watching earlier. I was watching you build a like pathing area, and you put a fountain in the middle of it. And I was very interested at what items you used. You were using you used like a really interesting piece. You turned it upside down, and it became like a drain in the middle of the fountain.
Oh yeah, I know exactly
like,
where it is.
That's so good. And then I was watching you like build the surrounding area. So I think I remember you were using like adventure pieces and stuff as well. So I thought it was really interesting. But that's something that I remember like really well, like seeing people use like really interesting pieces for like filling in the gaps, because I'm just terrible at it. Like I have the worst time. When I was doing the Enchanté Valley Community Park Let's Plays, it's like, yeah, let's build a coaster, and I love doing that. And it's like, okay, let's decorate it, and it's like, oh, that's the worst. I'm so bad. But I really like picking like a nice theme. So I was using the kind of like autumnal theme. I was using like a lot of orange and reds, but then it's still like, it feels empty. But I think you fill in space so well that there's something I just really remember you doing. So also this cool. Ride looks very fun.
Oh yeah, it's actually, I think this might go in as my favorite of the island, to be honest, because this ride over here, I think it really embeds everything that this series was about. So it's not only the ride, it's the story, it's everything about this ride is kind of reminiscent of what Isla Napali is about. So I think one of the coolest things, we even have like a water treatment in the back here. It's an entire desalination plantage, which is just in the back, because all the water has to come from somewhere. And back in the day, I learned how difficult it is to translate salt water from the ocean to be used in a theme park, because that happens. And people gave me the craziest explanation in the comments. And I was like, holy, am I a freaking scientist? What's going on here? And but no, it's leading to something very, very great indeed. Hello.
That's really cool.
That's a black guy. Look at that. He's like, his favorite fashion style is black. Okay.
He dresses like Bo.
Yeah,
always
exactly.
In black.
Bo, yes, that's right. Bo is always like dressed black. Black is beautiful is kind of the motto. But yeah, now we have the better view of the desalination plantage. God, I love how Planko also acts with the music. Like it gets so much quiet now because we're at the outskirts here of the park, and I love it. The sound design, oh god, can you give this back to the team again?
I know. I know this is obviously a different game, but for Planet Zoo we recently did an audio deep dive, and it's like how did they think of this stuff? I don't know. And it's like they were talking about how they use their audio design, so that when you go, if you were to zoom in and stand next to a person, you would hear them talking, you'd hear like their reactions and stuff like that. And then once you start to zoom out, you'll hear, in Planet Coaster, it would be like the rides. You'd hear like a really loud sound. So you'd hear like people screaming, but it would go really quickly and things like that. And they were just talking about how they design the sounds to work around the areas that you put things. So obviously if you go past a speaker, it will, play really loud if you're next to it. If you start zooming out, it will get quieter. And it's like, how did you do that? And then you actually see like the program that they use and what it looks like. And you're like, that looks terrible.
Yeah, it does.
Like, it looks like such a headache. I don't know how they do it, but it's like loads of like weird blue and red domes around everything. But it's really interesting. And I really enjoyed doing the audio deep dive with the Planet Zoo team. So a little shout out to them, especially if you haven't seen it. It's definitely worth watching if you're interested in audio design. Yeah.
I remember,
so it's a lot of fun.
I remember having a great talk with Matthew Florence at the expo actually 2 years ago. Actually, oh god, it's 3 years ago. Holy moly. And back then that was so interesting. He explained to us some of and that's actually funny. I mean, the game sounds are really one thing, but he explained how they come up with some menu sounds. And I was like, okay, how does it sound to open a menu? And he was like, yeah, that one day I've been in the kitchen and I've got filled the dishwasher, and then what's that sound when I put the glass out from the rubber? This little rubber which is there to make sure that the glasses are not moving. Yeah, that sounded actually like a menu. I was like, how? And then he was like, yeah. And so I put out my microphone and just recorded it. Like you just have a microphone.
I know,
with you.
it's ridiculous.
Like, yeah, I got it. I was like, okay.
It's so innovative.
It is.
It's like, what are you talking about? Like when you ask them and you're like, okay, I don't understand how you got to that conclusion, but I love it. But no, we're the same. Like when they tell us how they came to a sound, it's like, okay, I don't know how you got there, but I loved the journey. I loved the result. But yeah, the audio team is very, very crazy, to be honest. They're very like the most creative people I've ever met.
Yeah, I really. For me, this is also I'm like a visual person. Okay, I like to design and do whatever I have in a visual style, and this is for me like a hidden talent I cannot see. It's like how do they think of these things? It's like almost like I go in a game and just design my areas. It's like how they design sound. It's something. So me, it's like Chinese,
But you are also extremely creative. Like the stuff that you do, I'm always like, I don't understand how. Like when you, as I was saying earlier with like the fountains, when you were like, oh yeah, I've got an item perfect for this. You like pulled out an item and then you turned it upside down, and it's like, why have you done that? Like, how have you come to that conclusion? But it's the same. I mean, like you get so many people that are like, they're just perfect in the craft that they can just do things, and you're like, that is really cool. But how you did that? How you thought, oh, that would work as that piece if only I have it at a certain angle, or whatever. It's very interesting, and I think like the devs especially have learned a lot from the creators and the players. The stuff that we've seen, we always tell that famous story of Sylve with the railing. He built this insane railing, and then the devs were like, maybe we should add railings. Like, who thought people would need them? And it's very true. Like, we see stuff and we're like, I would never have thought that someone needed that piece. It's like with Zoo at the moment with the mosaics. I don't know if you've seen them, but they're so cool. People are making really amazing mosaics.
With
of a
right?
zoo
electric switch.
Yeah, and then they're using switches. And then I was talking to Lisa, one of the the artists, and a senior artist, and she was saying like, what? So I was like, look, you need to take this item apart. And she was like, oh my goodness, I'm amazed. And I think that's something that we have been very lucky with the Planet franchise in general.
Yeah,
and it definitely obviously started with Coaster. That our community, we see a lot of content creators, we see a lot of people that make their YouTube videos and stuff like that, and then we watch like how you do it and we're like, what? It's crazy. So I mean, like, yeah, it's been really wild, like the whole process.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Of like getting to know the content creators, and then watching videos and being like, And I mean, that's wild. That's so cool. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun for us. I think the devs have definitely learned a lot.
I hope so, because we try to everything to break the game. So
no, they've definitely added pieces in the past, and then because they watched a video, or they used to take things off Steam and take them apart to see how it was made, and then they'd say like, is there an easier way to do this? So when we say the Sylve story, we're meaning when he built the railing, and he was using all sorts of pieces, and he'd sink pieces into the ground, and he'd like rotate them, and then they'd say like, that's not the purpose of that piece. So it's strange that they've come to that conclusion to use it. But now that we've seen it and we know that that's something that people want, we can build a piece that won't take as many pieces to make, so it won't be so taxing on performance. But then we do that, and you guys make custom roofs. So it doesn't matter what we do.
Our biggest hobby. That's
it doesn't matter what we do, because then you use 10,000 pieces to make a roof. So we try and keep up with you guys, but it's hard.
Yeah, it's always awesome to hear these stories, to be honest, because obviously when we built this, we do not really have anything in mind other than making it look good, and we try to use the best pieces available, and as long as you have something in the sandbox, you will use it, and that's basically also why I spend so much time in this backstage area back there, to showcase how really beautiful even this unseen little hidden area can be, because all the pieces you included in the game, and also some of the Team TK pieces, they enable us to create something really magnificent. Something really in the backstage looks good because it looks bad. You know what I mean? It's like there are pieces, we use so much stuff to create backstage pieces that you guys were at some point, I think it was especially the Studios DLC, which provided so many backstage pieces.
That's what I mean. We really learn from the community, because it's even like, you'll release the game, and then you'll think, people are just going to want to make coasters, and they're going to want to make a theme park, but they're not really going to think about like the backstage areas. They're not going to think about how people get from A to B. They're going to think about, the destination. They're not going to think about the journey. So I think like when we were obviously like in the process of making studios, and even World's Fair, when we obviously did a lot of shops and things like that, it was a lot of community feedback. I know that there are, like the rides DLCs were very much, here's the community favorites, but they didn't have scenery pieces. So it's a bit harder to say it was the community that sort of designed that pack. But I mean, for like studios and World's Fair and Vintage, it was really the community feedback that sculpted the result. And I think like studios, especially as you said, was like really good for backstage stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because it's just a bunch of like random things.
Yeah.
And then you think like, yeah, that's perfect. That's just what I want. But obviously the devs were like, they'll never use this sort of thing. And then we hear the feedback and we think like, oh, we've got a pack in mind that would be good for that. Like, let's do this sort of pack where, you've got all the animatronics and things, but then we've also got the capability to do, the special effects and things. So it kind of brings things together. That's the thing. When you release a game, the base game is like the project, and then you start hearing like, oh, people want this and that, and then you start to bring it all together, really, because you get so much great feedback. And I think like with this game and with the Planet franchise as a whole, as I've said, we've just been so lucky because we get some really incredible feedback. But like, genuinely, me as a community manager who sits on like Reddit, Discord, social, the forums all day, and I like read stuff and I think like, but why would they need that piece? And then you pass it along to the devs and they're like, we need that piece. We need to add it in now, because like now we've seen people use it. It's been like so useful. But even like things like, like fans and like aircon units and stuff.
Oh yeah.
You wouldn't necessarily think like, oh, people would need that in a theme park. But then when you see people use it, it just brings an added layer of realism.
Yeah, and it makes
so good.
Sense,
yeah. Yeah, we love it.
To be honest, you could really feel that in the initial release of Planet Zoo, and we were all agreeing on that, there was a lot of more generic stuff that could be used, which looking back at the early days of Planko hasn't been in, so you can clearly tell you have learned. By the way, have we been talking about custom roofs, though? I just was finding this special location over here. I think I don't really have one single non-custom roof. No, this area over here has only custom roofs.
See, this is what I mean. It doesn't matter how hard the devs try to make the game like as easy for players as possible, because then we go onto
Not even
YouTube
here,
and
okay.
we watch Let's Plays, and then we see like a 2-hour long video of someone just making a roof, and the dev team like throw their arms up and I'm like, why did we like spend so long on these roofing pieces? Because then we just see like people. It's like, and I was watching Syl's Volvara series.
Oh god.
And then
Yeah.
and oh my goodness. And he was spending so long on the roofs. I was like, stop it, Syl. Like, it looks so good, but the dev team are crying. Like,
I
they're
think
in
not
pain.
the dev team was meeting with his CPU in a room and they were crying together. You can trust me. Oh god. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So do we want to jump on this ride, by the way?
Yes,
when was this
absolutely.
in the area? I just wanted to show you something else, not to cut you off, but I just saw it, and you can see this thing here, right? You can see what I did here, right?
It's good.
Does this remind you of something? I mean,
It looks great.
I built this way before Planet Zoo. So this kind of is an exhibit on its own. And
It looks really good.
it's funny. I even made like a little bit of a kind of education board here, which is really close to what we have in game. So it's
Really, maybe you were the inspiration behind Planet Zoo. Maybe it was you all along when
Yeah.
we saw this, when we saw you make this. So the dev team
I
were
remember-
like, hang on,
I
we can make a
remember-
whole game out of this.
This one single episode. If I'm such a good influence, let's do some more episodes on different things. I have some ideas. I've got something in mind. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I have to say it was really funny when Zoo was announced, and I still love the story that we've been rooting for a Zoo game for so long, and we've been trying to poke you guys so much, but we couldn't get anything out of you. And once it was finally released and we got the info a little bit earlier, so we could prepare some videos and stuff, we were like, we cannot hold it. And I remember that also another Easter egg, this little archer guy. As you know, we always use him for scale.
Yeah.
And that's why one of this one is in here. It always has to be in any of my parks or all of them. There's always an archer somewhere. But no, as we were talking, I remember that people came to me. That's why you created your channel named as a camel. So you knew it years ago. And I was like, yeah, sure. That's the reason. I did
See,
some search engine
you were the
optimization.
inspiration. You were the inspiration all along. We saw your channel, we saw you growing, we saw the process, and we thought like,
Yeah.
that guy's got some big ideas, and we need to capitalize on them. And then we need to just like let him know later. Like, oh yeah, come watch this training.
That's a good idea. I never saw the contract though, so. Oh god. By the way, do you know the story of chickens at Hawaii? Because you will see chickens all over the place here. Wonderful TMTK items I want to point out. And I don't know if you've heard it or seen it, but on Hawaii, holy crap, there are like chickens everywhere. It's like the main nutrition as well, but also these things are like everywhere. They're freaking rabbits, and it doesn't matter where you are. There are like a million chickens, and they are not allowed to push them away or whatever. So they have to be very careful. And it's really funny. It's really funny.
Hang on.
Huh?
I just need to Google something because. Where is? Hang on. I'm looking at. I don't want to get it wrong because I don't want to be an idiot. No, I was looking at Moana because they have the like pet mascot chicken throughout the film.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, was that in Hawaii? Because that would make so much sense. Because I remember thinking like, why have they chosen a chicken?
Exactly. No, this is Maui because Maui is one of the other islands. I have been to Maui and to Kauai actually,
Nice.
Moana is based on the story of Maui, which is funny.
Yeah.
But they did a design decision. I didn't know that either before, but they made a funny design decision. They went for a very green island, and they really did get inspired by Kauai actually, but they went with the story of Maui, which is a bit weird because Maui is not that green. People do believe it. I did believe that early on as well, but to be honest, it's not. Hey, we're in the wrong car. This is the wrong track. People did believe this, but it's not true. We are actually Kauai is the most green island of Hawaii. by far. It's also called the Garden Island. And Maui is not that. Maui is more really. It almost has a little bit more desert areas even, and a lot of kind of fires in the summer as well because it's really hot over there. And the only very green space is the dark side of the island. So it's the sun is kind of blocked away by the volcano, and the one island is very dry, and the other side of the island is very green indeed. But it's not like in the movie. This would clearly be more kawaii.
How interesting.
Mm-hmm. So,
I didn't know that.
now we're riding with the oldest coaster on this island. This is a very old wooden coaster. Also, I must say I'm super happy with the layout. I think it's one of my better coasters, and
it's very smooth.
That's something I gotta say.
It's very smooth.
Like I'm more of the builder guy, I did improve quite dramatically in coasters, also thanks to Sylv, but I'm still not. Still people will find a lot. But yeah, I'm also very happy about the smoothness of this ride.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah,
I love a wooden roller coaster. I'm not gonna lie. I really like the Georgian Dragon at Efteling.
Oh yeah.
When we went to Efteling last year for the community meet, hopefully we'll get to do it this year. But obviously, who knows with the pandemic at the moment. Hopefully, we'll get to do it. I'd love to go again. But obviously, safety
me too,
first.
Definitely. Yeah.
But when we were riding the Georgian Dragon, every time we took Bo on, we lost. And then Bo said to us, at the end of the Saturday, because we went back the next day with about like a quarter of the people. And Bo didn't come again for the second day. She went to go visit her family. But she said to us at the end, like, oh, I've never actually won this ride. I'm always on the losing side. We were like, what? So the next day, we obviously went on without her and we won. So, but it was like when we went, it was raining. Mm-hmm. So for like the first, I think we went on it like 3 times. The first couple of times it was like very dry and, it's like a really nice, like smooth ride. And the third time, because it was wet, the track, it was so fast.
Yeah, it definitely is, yeah.
Me and Bo were in the back, so obviously you get the drag as well.
Oh, God.
And we had like our arms up, and I like felt like I couldn't put them down. Like it's not going that fast, I could put my arms down. But it was like the sensation of like going so fast. I'm like, Bo, I can't put my arms down.
Yeah, but
she's next to me like, what did you say? Because we're going too fast, she can't hear me.
Yeah, but this ride is insanely crazy in the dry already. But we've been there actually a year before, also in the rain. And it's getting a lot quicker. That's awesome. Yeah, really, really good. Well, we had a good story about this. Actually, I love Georgian Dragon as well. It's a good GCI coaster. But we left the old part. We are now getting into the more modern part, and we are getting to a coaster which I'm a big fan of because it also has a wonderful background story. This is I wouldn't say it's not a temporary coaster. It's now this was a traveling coaster in the past, as the story goes. And then once they were increasing the size of the park and more tourists coming here, they decided to take one of these traveling coasters and put this here. And over time it developed a bit more and got to a permanent coaster. So it still has some elements of a very temporary and traveling coaster. So it's very thin in terms of supportings and stuff. But over time, they managed to make it more of a permanent addition to the park. And, I think it's, as I said, it's really my favorite part about these little stories.
That's very interesting. I feel like I never ever go on obviously traveling coasters because they just don't feel as safe, which is a lie because they use a lot of supports and they do a lot of maintenance on them. But it's like if I go to a fun fair and there's a ride, I'm always like, oh, should I go on that one? But I will always go on a haunted house coaster, even though obviously that travels as well. But I think it's just because it's dark that I feel safer.
We humans are stupid, right?
I know. It's like, oh yeah, I'll go on a scary ride that's indoors rather than a ride where I can see everything around me. But no, I am not a big roller coaster rider if it's at like a fun fair. But I do love a good fun fair. But I really like candy floss. So maybe that's it. Yeah. Like that's prime place to buy candy floss is at a fun fair. So that could be the reason I like them.
It's all about food, yeah. It's all about food. Yeah, but I do agree. I also have the same feeling, even though it's actually stupid, because obviously, as you said, they are in a crazy maintenance schedule. So actually, I would even say more than on a normal theme park, even though they have it each day. But yeah, another little fun fact here is this little plastic over here, and people geek out in the comments. Once you start this, once you open the box of Pandora and you go for a realistic park, trust me, you will never run out of ideas from your people because they come up with everything. And when I was building this ride, they were like, hey, where do you put this ride when there's a storm going on? And I was like, in the station. Yeah, but it's open. So how are you? So we came up with the idea that this is kind of the area where you push it back when there's a storm coming, like a tropical storm, and you can just unleash these things and
I love
put
it.
them to the
ground.
ground.
That is a great idea. I thought this was like a when I was looking at them before you start telling the story, I thought they were like a cushion.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, why would the cushion be up there in my head? And then you were like, like when you were talking to me, I was waiting for you to be like, so we deploy these cushions for people to sit on. But no, that makes so much sense. That's really interesting.
Yeah,
that's the thing though. I'd never think of something like that.
Yeah, me neither. This is totally down to the people watching.
But it's like you get so much. If you are really passionate about like a project, so like this is a project, really passionate about it, and you think like, how can I make this even more realistic? You do so much research, then you see like the weirdest stuff, and you think like, that makes sense. Like how just in general how theme parks look after people in terms of like safety. So, but then you start implementing things to make the park more safe, and then you think like, wow, that looks so realistic. Whereas before you'd think like, this looks like a park, but like I wouldn't necessarily say it's like a realistic park. It's not achieved the level of realism I want, but it looks good. And then you start adding in like the random little things and just really pulls it together. Like it is really cool to see that like a project come together at the end. Like even like here with the bins and stuff, you'll get so many people that would like, when I say so many people, I really mean me. Like I'd build like a theme park. And I'd put like the, like a staff area, and then I'll think like, yeah, that looks good. And really all I've done is build a shell. And then you go onto the Steam Workshop, or you go on YouTube and you see people's blueprints, and it's like you open it and they've got like this whole outside area that has like a bunch of bins in and things like that. And you think like, that's what my park is missing. That's what I need. Yeah,
that's true. It's really also the community is coming together and getting all these ideas together. It's like a huge crowdfunding of ideas. It's really insane. And I have to say also props to Mr. Aston Wolf, because he contributed to this park with this wonderful restaurant. Actually, this is something I didn't build, just to mention that. This is made by Aston. I did only the backstage and stuff like that, but he built this restaurant for me. We've been just chatting forth and back, and I asked him if he wanted to do an addition, and so he did this. That's from Aston Wolf.
Love Aston Wolf. He's got the best accent.
Definitely.
I love his accent, but he's such a great guy. He's very nice. I do enjoy chatting to him. I wish he lived closer. So
it's not exactly close, right?
Yeah, so we could do like, if we were to do like a community meet, he could come along. But he's a great guy, a very nice guy.
Yeah, he is. So it's getting really crowded over here. God, this is the modern part, and you can see people love the modern part. I just wanted to quickly show you around. So this is a little kids ride. I love the sidelines. Look at that. I mean, this ride has also been replaced a few times, and this is, I think it's my favorite quote. I think he even look at that.
Minister of Vibration. Interesting. I love it.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? It's like people say you can't hear pictures, but I can hear this picture.
This one's so sassy.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. We are here. This is what you just mentioned earlier. This is the little fountain you were talking about.
Yes.
So what is that? Let me check. Maybe I can rethink of. I do know that this is the planter piece. This is the vintage planter piece, just rotated. This one in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm quite sure it is. And these ones must be, I think these are adventure pieces. Some of these recallable adventure iron rings that are actually from the Mayan Aztec-ish statues, if I'm not completely wrong.
It's so good. When I was watching this, and then you turned that middle piece over, I was like, that's genius.
It's funny.
That's the kind of thing that I love seeing. Like I was saying to you before we started recording, that prior to me actually working at Frontier, as a community manager, I used to watch a lot of Planet Coaster, like The Sims, anything where you can watch speed builds of people obviously making things. Like I really like watching like The Sims house builds and things like that.
It's so satisfying.
It's so good. But so then I would watch your videos, the ladies' videos, even before I knew you guys. So it was very strange meeting you all, by the way, because it's like I used to listen to your videos, and now I'm here.
I didn't
like when
actually
we went
know
to
that prior to our recording today, so it's like a really good story.
No, it's like a really weird sensation to like come across somebody that you like have heard a lot but never met. So it's very strange. But like I used to watch a lot of the speed builds prior to me starting. And I still continue to do so because I do really enjoy watching things be made.
Yeah, same here.
Even then, it's just like, it's just like the way that people come to the conclusion of like, if I use this piece and this piece and this piece, it'll make this thing. Oh, I love it. It's just like how? It's like a science that I just haven't mastered.
It really, the one thing I really like about this is, funny story is, the only reason why I got into the position is because I recorded my stuff even before I did YouTube, because I had this really weird satisfaction of watching stuff sped up. So I used to record nearly everything I built, back then mostly in Minecraft, to be honest. And then, because I was also actually watching a lot of Minecraft videos and Minecraft speed builds and stuff. And I remember when back in the days Frontier asked me if I have a recording or if I have anything of my Space Mountain build in the very early days. When exactly the first thing happened that you told me, it's like the devs didn't know. I literally got an email where they were telling, hey, we've seen that. We know it's our game, but we don't know what you did. So it was like, okay, and it's like, did you have any recordings or whatever? And I was like, yeah, I have. And so I uploaded it so they could have a look at what I did. And I mean, normally, as a normal person, you would not have a recording of that. Why would you? Okay, and so it's really my weird passion of having these little speed builds for myself, literally just for myself, made me have this chance to send this over, and from there on it all developed. But by the way, two things over here. First of all, for your devs, I used normal.
It better not be a custom roof.
No, that's not. That's a normal roof, okay? So that's all fine. Everyone can stay at home and be happy now. And this is, again, one of these backstage areas you usually don't do. Honestly, just a little bit, this is my sweeper, and I remember this was the biggest disaster ever creating it. I'm at the end of the day, I'm really happy with it. It
looks really good.
I'm really happy with that. This one is, I think it's from Woody. Woody also made a few cool things I'm going to show you in a bit for this park as well, especially for me. We have a little hospital in here, a little medical center.
That's
in case
cool.
You have some issues and you ate too many of the sweets you bought in the park before you went on the coaster.
That I feel like when I go to a theme park, that almost happens to me every time because I like load up on like
but then you did
candy
everything
floss and sweets. And then like I always get to a point like so the last time I went to a theme park was the Epedemic last year, and Bo bought me like, they have massive bags of candy floss. It's insane. Like I was shocked. So Bo bought me one and it was huge. Like honestly, it was like the size of my legs. I am not a particularly tall person. I'm 5'4" for anybody that is wanting to visualize this. But like it was like the entirety of my legs. And I was like, oh my God, that's insane. So she bought it for me. And it had like 3 different flavors and we were like eating it together and we were watching that parade that goes past. And like Bo was not a particularly sugary person, so like for every like bite she had, I had like 7, and then and I got to like halfway down the second color, and I was like, I can't have any more, Bo. You need to give this to someone else. I think I'm gonna be sick. And like we were just standing there, like we weren't even anticipating going on a ride. Like we thought that the only parade I'd seen prior was the Disneyland Paris one. Which is obviously a very extravagant parade.
Yeah, they
so I
like
thought
to show
like.
off,
I was like, this parade is going to be like, I don't know, 40 minutes long. Like, it was raining and everyone was sort of like standing around. I was like, I don't know if I can stand here for that long. And then it was like 2 minutes and they were like, bye. But she bought me this candy floss with the intention of me eating it throughout this parade. Obviously, she's seen it before. But, I thought like, I can do this for like 40 minutes. I can chip away at this candy floss. And then I ate it so quick. I don't know why, but I was like, woo, because I love candy floss. I was eating it so fast. I felt
I'd love
so
to say half
sick.
of the chat will relate. Half of the people watching will totally relate to you.
I think we actually gave it to crowd pleaser. I think so. I gave her the bag because I was like, get this away from me, because I will continue to eat it, but I'll feel really ill. So I was like, get this away from me, Bo. So Bo, took it off me, was sort of like holding it, but as everyone knows, candy floss is so sticky that even when you are like holding the bag, once you've opened it, the bag itself gets sticky. So she was all like, ew, I want to give it to someone, but we have, because it was like half the bag left, and she was like, we have to give it to someone because otherwise it's like a waste. So then we were like going around with the Efteling group, like, does anyone want some candy floss? Anyone want this?
I'm quite sure you got away with it, right? I mean, you
Yeah,
found
crowd
people,
pleaser
right?
was like, I'll take it. And then once crowd pleaser took it, like everyone else was like, yeah, I'll have some. So it was fine. Like nobody
So
else
good.
was ill. But honestly, I was like, Bo, that was too much for me. Like that was too much. I can't do that ever again. But then we went back the next day and I bought another bag of candy floss. So,
That's very good. Really
But I ate all that one because I was prepared.
good. Yeah, you
prepared.
knew by then. That's so
I
good.
learnt my lesson.
Yeah. By the way, just to jump back for what Woody did, this is exactly what he did for me. He made a little camel plush of my avatar
cute.
in the game, which I am still absolutely in awe with, and I'm still so thankful he did. It's just he started doing these plushies in game. I bet he did the Gulpy plush and stuff, and so he made a Rudy plush, which I just, it's so cool. I wish I had it in real life, to be honest.
I think it's
That would be
awesome.
more.
It is a really nice plushie, and Woody makes some amazing things. I was just thinking about the Theme Makers Toolkit in general, because we've seen so many really interesting items that like wouldn't really necessarily fit in a pack.
That's true, yeah.
But like when you see it, you think like, yeah, that does bring in like another layer of realism. So when we opened the Theme Makers Toolkit and we were getting, obviously all held the cube, and we had Millstone Barn's original cube, and we all became part of the cube cult. But then after that, and we started seeing like, I remember the lady building that like a dwarf shop for like her Snow White sort of area, and she had like a dwarf shop. I love this billboard, that's so cool. And she built a shop, and she was using like all these Theme Makers Toolkit items, and it was like, obviously nobody is gonna purchase these items because the game isn't designed to engage with these items like that. But the like seeing a shop built with items like plushies and like the balloons, and we'd see like people build like sweet stands and like popcorn stands and stuff like that. Oh, it looked incredible. Like seeing that guy had such cool hair, seeing the seeing the shops and stuff like that with the theme. Look at that guy. That's so good.
Just like the
But
RGB guy.
I love it. Seeing the all the shops and stuff come together. Like we loved it. Like, I know that the devs really enjoyed seeing what was uploaded to the Theme Makers Toolkit workshop, and we still do. We really do enjoy
there's
seeing.
a lot
It's
of
like
great stuff.
it's just been like, I really enjoyed seeing like the horror items that Pixelated has made, and I really like seeing Misread Nebula's like balloons and stuff like that. But like the plushies as well. Like, yeah, we really enjoyed seeing what's come out of that for sure.
Yeah, and especially things like that could also come out of that, because there's a really good background story to all of that, because this is one of the items a good friend made for me, this one over here, especially for, Isla Napali, which it goes back to the story mode, so to say, storyline of it has it, that this is, this ride over here has been put from the old part of the park to this new part of the park to create awareness for the organization to save the octopi, which live around this island. So
that's
another
genius.
cool story that was implemented by the viewers, and we actually created a whole dedication info kiosk over here, which I think is even more funny when you think how your approach on Planet Zoo is, like with all the conservation and stuff.
Yeah.
That is like a little bit of another forecast of it, so I really enjoyed it. And
Honestly, that idea is so genius. I love it. Like, to think that you and your viewers and the community have gone so far deep in the sort of story of this island that you think to make a stand dedicated to the octopus, because they live around the island and you're trying to conserve them. I love it. That's so cool. It's so interesting. It's like, it just really does add another level of realism, because then when you go around the park, you can see the story for yourself, which I do really enjoy. And like that billboard was so cool. I loved it. I loved the really zany colors of that stand. But when you stopped on that billboard,
I remember the colors was also a particular story. I completely did this wrong. Just like, hey guys, it's just work in progress, okay? And I'm like, just keep the colors. It's so ugly, but it's somehow cool. So we kept the
it's
color
very
coding.
eye-catching.
So yeah. We just went for it. Oh, by the way, just a little language story. Nalu means Hawaiian for wave, if I do not miss out on it. I think Nalu was the name for wave or water or something in Hawaiian. So this is why
That's really cool.
we named this ride like this. But but a very, very cool little inside story from you there regarding the TMT icons. And I'm also like, I can imagine as a dev, opening up the game for stuff like that is a very decisive moment in a way, because you see people dedicated to it make items as well. And I mean, you look at it from a very different perspective, obviously. Because you as a dev, you have certain things that you need to keep in mind. And those people working on the TMTK, they have nothing, they have no limitation whatsoever. They can just do, They don't have a schedule, they don't have a pack in mind or whatever. And I think this is really interesting, what comes up and then gives you ideas how to do for the future. And I think you can really tell from how many different pieces have been made for certain things. You can really see how important the pieces are. So sometimes there's just a single piece, but for example, like all the backstage stuff, I think in a matter of 2 weeks, you were blown away by backstage stuff shit. Like really, there was like so many bins, so many trash cans, so many little things.
Many bins. It was weird.
Yeah.
Like when we first opened it, and we really thought like, we're gonna get some really obscure sort of things that are like perfect for, say, for like your park, this one for example. Like, because you have a story in mind, you'll build a sort of weird, obscure item that would really fit here, but wouldn't necessarily fit in any other parks. None of them come to mind. But like, say, like with your octopus stand, maybe you'd build a stand that had like octopus tentacles coming out of it, for example. Just like a weird thing that like wouldn't necessarily be able to be used in other parks. But no, we were getting like bins and things, and like the devs were like, did we not do enough bins? Like, because everyone's building bins, and we were getting like, obviously, like the shop items, and we were getting like, we were anticipating other IPs being used. Like when you have a game like this, like a game dedicated to roller coaster parks, theme parks, you're anticipating people getting a lot of inspiration for ones in real life. So we knew that we were going to get a lot of like Disney items, for example, because once you open up the Theme Maker's Toolkit, people are going to be like, finally, I can build the Disney World of my dreams.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough, obviously. It's very easy and fulfilling to take inspiration from something that you've seen in real life to then create it and be like, yeah, that looks exactly like how I want it to, But no, it was like we were getting so many bins, and the dev team were like, what is going on?
The community is very special, and I learned this too. The community is very special when it comes to keeping to the theme. And like, I have to be honest, I really feared at the beginning that the quality of the items might not match the game standards, because the game standards in terms of design and detail of pieces is just incredible. And also, it has a certain art style, Planko and also Plan Zoo have a really, really decisive art style. You can really tell that this is an item that goes into the game. And I'm still blown away by how the people manage to really hit that style in every single piece. I mean, there are some levels of quality in the shop, but I think the lowest level is still very good, and this is actually pretty impressive, I have to say. One of the things why this park over here was even possible, I don't know, like there are thousands of TMTK pieces in here, so that's also maybe one of the reasons the performance is not exactly beautiful. But
the theme makers toolkit was very interesting for us, for sure. And I think it has opened up a lot of like questions that we've got from the community. They'd say, does this mean that we can start to build coasters from scratch? And we'd say like, absolutely not, because it takes so long to make them. Like, honestly, I think because people see the end result, and it looks, very fluid, it looks good, they can be like, oh, that can't have taken that long to do. So then when when we opened Theme Makers Talk, people are like, yay, we get to start making coasters from scratch. And we were like, this would, like, honestly, we have a whole team that made this coaster, and it took them like over a few months to build this. And now you're like, let me build it in Theme Makers Talk. It's like, no.
Totally.
Honestly, it would drive people crazy, because then they don't even think like, how would the guests interact with it, for example? How would a guest get onto your coaster that you've made from scratch?
Yeah, totally. There's so
because they've never
much
been
you need
coded to do it.
Yeah.
But then, so the Theme Makers Toolkit did open up a lot of questions, but seeing what's come out of it has like 100% been worth it, because it has been really interesting for the devs and obviously us on the community team to see what people have come up with. And when we used to do like Frontier Extra, and we do the monthly catch-ups on the forums, and then I when we used to do Frontier Extra, I would pick out my few favorite Theme Makers Toolkit items, and then we do the monthly catch-up, and I'd pick out an item that I really liked that month. And I loved going through the Steam Workshop and finding items that I was like, wow, like, I think that's incredible. I don't know how this person has made it. It looks very realistic. It fits in the theme of as you said, like Planet Coaster so well, the art style. It is very fulfilling to have a community that can identify like an art style that the art team have obviously strived for over the years. Like, it's very fulfilling that they can recreate that, and they do it so well. And I know that like the devs have really loved seeing Theme Makers Toolkit. It definitely did add a lot to the game. And yeah, it's been fun. I remember the Theme Makers Toolkit stream as well, when Sam Denny would not stop explaining it, and I had a train to catch. And I was like, please let me leave. I was like, please, Sam Denny, this is so interesting, but I have to go home. So no, it was fun. I just remember the community in the chat, who'd obviously, it was a big stream at the time, because people were like, what is this? We get to make random stuff from scratch? Like, I must tune in. And then I had Sam and Joe, and Sam was like, no, don't worry, we've written down notes. We'll keep this to an hour max. Like, no worries. And then I was like, okay, because I have a train to catch at 8:30. And the stream ends at 8. Well, that's when it's supposed to. And he was like, honestly, Chanté, there's no worries. I have planned this to a T. And then, like, on his notes, he'd written like 4 things that he needed to really hit to really drive in. And then, like, 45 minutes in, he was still on the first one. I was like, Sam, you have to pick up the pace, dude. Like, people are gonna be so bored and confused watching this, because like he'd like be like explaining it, and then he'd be like, oh yeah, this reminds me, and then he'd like go off on a dev tangent, and I'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I'm so confused.
I don't remember. Actually, one time we've been to Frontier Expo, I guess it was, and we've been standing outside of the hotel in the morning. It was Advo back then and Sylv who started the conversation with Sam back then. I joined in later, and they've been already talking for like an hour or something over potential coasters that could have been added in the future. And I remember at that time that we were actually hitting him very hard to make some specific coasters that have been made into the game later. And I remember that he said, yeah, I need to go. I think he said that 10 times. And like another 1.5 hours later, when I have rejoined, so 2.5 hours later in total, he was still with us and kept talking about various things, why things didn't make it. And it's just
he has been such an integral part to Planet Coaster, and he's very passionate about, like the craft, hearing community feedback and things like that. So when you do get him in a conversation and you get onto a topic, he's like, yeah, then he'll just go on for ages. But then you're like, okay, but didn't you say that you needed to go? And he's like, what? No. But like that Theme Makers Toolkit stream, like obviously they did it well, and they really hammered down the points home. I think people understood how to use the Theme Makers Toolkit. But I remember the community in the chat who knew that I used to do that 2.5 hour commute and I had to go. Were like, Sam, stop talking. Chanté needs to leave. But I know, like, I've heard that conversation that you've had with him and Sylv had with him a few times, because as you said, like it obviously did really make an impression on him, because then rides did actually make it into the game. And obviously we now have the SLV,
Yeah.
and that is a nod to that conversation. So it is always worth hearing, community feedback. It's definitely, if you do catch one of the devs, I'm sure that, they'd love to hear from anything that you have to say to them, because it really does make an impression. There's so many people on the Planet Coaster team that just sit and read so much feedback, and then they think we could do that, we could do it like this, we could do it like that. And you do see that, because then they add in items to make the life easier of our creators and our community, that when they made the game, they never thought they needed to add. And that obviously does go to coasters as well, because we had the Magnificent Rides collection and the Classic Rides collection, and those rides were community requested ones. Obviously we had the chairlift, and
that one you mean?
They they knew, this is the thing, they knew that was very heavily requested. But then all the theme parks I've been to have never needed one, because they're quite compact.
Yeah, people are very specific about the things, and it's really insane. Also, Busch Gardens and stuff that have it, I guess. And it's when you open up the world to the people which come from all over the world, it's insane what they gather in terms of experience and stuff. So
100%,
really,
it's
really great.
Yeah, it's there's, as I've said so many times during this conversation, there's stuff that we never even thought of, and then the community will be like, excuse me, why is this not in here? And you'll be like, I don't know. Now that you've shown me all these examples, it makes sense. But prior to me, to you expanding my mindset, I never would have thought to use this. And that's 100% how we feel about items that we've added, how we felt about the coasters. As I said, I've been to one theme park in my life that's had a chairlift. And when we went to San Diego Zoo to help promote Planet Zoo, I went on a chairlift, and that was the first time I'd been to a zoo with a chairlift as well. So, I'd never been on one. I can also
not think of one. Yeah, that's true actually. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So then, and it never occurs to us to add it in. Obviously, this is not me saying that the devs don't do their research. Obviously, they absolutely do, and they do look at the most popular rides around the world and that sort of thing. But very obscure things that aren't obscure, because they're in loads of theme parks around the world, but very obscure things that aren't in the UK where we are based is really difficult for us to imagine to add, let alone to then do the research into it, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. We'll never, to my knowledge, prior to chairlifts, to opening the game out to the community and getting the feedback into that, helping to sculpt future packs, the team had never thought, oh yeah, this game definitely needs a chairlift. But then over the course of a year or two, I think it was 2 years when we added in chairlifts.
I guess it was one of the latest editions.
Yeah, it's every time there was even a whiff of a new pack, people are like, "Are you finally adding chairlifts?" It's what?
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Oh, I remember.
We did so much research into it, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that this was a big hype, but this was one of these videos where you just very, very, very shortly get a glimpse, 2 seconds, split seconds of this chairlift in this teaser, and the world went nuts with it.
Yeah, it was really difficult for the team to add too, because when you have because obviously people can sculpt them to look how they want them to. So if you think if I was to build a park, as I'm based in the UK, it's not a very mountainous area. In my imagination, I would not build a very mountainous park. My parks are usually quite flat. But then if you go to somewhere like this, where you have a huge, a very high amount of terrain.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and then you'll start to build your chairlift very steep. What the team were really struggling with was making sure that the chair would be able to rise and obviously go down, depending on the incline of your chairlift. So then as you see, every time it goes up a new wire, it will sort of change it's not a direction, but the angle, very subtly. It's not a big thing. But that took the team so long.
Yeah,
like,
I remember.
Honestly,
I
that
remember
was
certain
such a
things we
piece
helped
of
you out
work.
with.
Yeah, that
And,
was such a piece of work for them.
yeah.
Like, they really spent a long time.
I guess this
working
has
out how to
been
do
one
the
of the things
chairlift.
that took the longest also with our feedback. I remember that we gave you guys a lot of feedback and forth and back. And at one point you were like, hey, talk to the devs directly. And we had a few people joining the chat from your devs and getting the feedback in. I think that was really cool to see how to get this to work. And yeah, I think it was really tricky to do because it's such a new ride. It's not like a reskin of a coaster, or it's not like a flat ride or whatever.
It took
where you
them
can
a very long time.
Where you can use parts of the old rides, right? It's something completely new. So yeah. Righty. We've got some rides left actually. Chanté,
Let's do it.
Which one do you want first? We have the Big Dipper coaster on the right hand side, or we have the actually it's also Big Dipper if you want, but it's more like a dive coaster. That's one that by the way, Sylph built that one, the coaster. I made the theming and Sylph built the coaster.
Let's do this one, the divey one. Let's do this one first.
All right.
I do enjoy a good dive coaster.
Yeah, the good thing is you can say whatever you want. Sylph made it, so if you don't like it, it's Sylph's fault. I only made theming, so that's all. Yeah. By the way, just a little note here, guys. I totally enjoyed this talk with Chanté, so that's why I decided to just make this tour almost like a little cinematic in the background. I feel like this is super cool, and I really hope you guys enjoy this because I did certainly really enjoy this, and all these insight notes are really cool. So I hope people stick with us for this podcast episode.
Sure. It has been a long episode.
Yeah, but I love it. I totally love it.
I hope I haven't gone on too many tangents. I very much enjoyed it. Bo was like saying to me before, you know, when we were looking at things to do, because obviously with the pandemic and having to work from home, we have had to stop our streams. And I've had people be like, why don't you stream from home? And it's like, you would not like to be in my room while I'm streaming, because it would just be like such a weird atmosphere. So we were looking at things to do instead, and Bo was really like, oh, let's talk to the content creators. Like, Rudy will be really good at it. And I was like, oh, I don't know if like people will want, you know, like us to be talking over their streams. And Bo was like, no, Rudy will do a good job.
I totally hate this. Can you please go now?
Yeah, Bo was like, no, Rudy will do it very laid back. Like, he'll be really good. So I'm very happy with how this is.
No, me too.
I
totally enjoy this. You know, there's one thing, especially with tours, making tours of your own parks yourself. To me, it feels odd, to be honest. So having someone with you is actually really cool. And we were talking for some what we do. And I think, honestly, if we would have done a time-lapse build, that would be cool too. But at the moment, I only have some, because of Zoo, obviously, not that much going on. So I thought that would be a lot better. And I feel this is so cool because we kicked on so many stories about the whole life of Planet Coaster, which I think is only amazing. And for the community, and I'm quite sure I do know exactly who's watching that video, especially for these people, I think it's really amazing to live through all these stories again, because they have been a major part of it.
Yeah, we have such an amazing community, and I know that it sounds like something that we would just say as community managers, and I think what people have to keep in mind is that like this is my first industry job. I have like no prior experience with working with communities, but I have been a community member, and I've been in some very strange communities where people are, you know, not very receptive to ideas, and they can be quite aggressive and things like that. And then when I started working at Frontier, and Bo was like, this is the best community that I've ever met. And I was like, she's probably just saying that to me, so I agreed to the job. And then, but obviously I was a Planet Coaster community member beforehand, but I knew a few people, but no, it's like when you are on the dev side of things and you say like, oh, we're going to release this update, and you want it to go really well. You hope it goes really well. As community managers, you know, we facilitate the community side to the devs and the other way around. So when the devs are saying like, well, we're really excited about this update, and you're like, okay, like I'll write the posts, we'll be there on the day, you know, to make sure it all goes well. And then it actually does go well, and you get to pass that back to the devs. It's like the best feeling. So then, like to have a community that is so encouraging and very like inspirational, very creative. Like they honestly tick all the boxes that you could ever hope for as a dev, but two as a community manager. Like it really does make working as the Planet franchise community manager so fulfilling, and I feel like I've been very blessed, because then we get to do things like the Efteling meetup and things like that, and then when we did like the Gamescom meetup, for example, and you get to see like the core people that really they'll support you anytime they can, so they'll come out and get to hang out with you, and they'll hand you like strip waffles, like oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
This is a tangent, right? That's really.
I was like not anticipating that turn, so I like completely lost my train of thought. But when I was getting like gifts from the community and things like that, and it's just like, oh, you guys are so kind. Like, I'm just happy to be here, but then they really think like, let's make this day really special, because like Chanté's never been to Efteling, so let's really like hammer home the story, and this is where we grew up and things like that. And it's really nice to be brought into people's lives. It's like when, as a content creator yourself, that like you get people that tune into your streams that they really see you as like a big part of their week. So then, like you'll be like, oh, I'm going to stream at this time. And people will be like, yeah, I'm going to come in. And then you always see the core people, and you feel very lucky to have them around. They're friends of yours, really. And it's the exact same for us. Like not being able to do the streams was quite upsetting. So getting to come into your video and be like, hey, can I come along? Like, can I just talk? Because it's always nice to get to talk to the community, for sure. And I know that obviously you share many community members that we do as the game. So it's been very nice to be here, and I really enjoyed this tour. I must say, there was some very interesting.
First of all, it's really cool that I don't need to drive this myself the whole time. This is really good. And I must say, I've some really emotional feelings about all these stories, because it brings back the old Planko days. And I think people, and to be fair, people noticed that there was a huge move towards Planet Zoo, which I think is kind of a given one. You cannot really do too much about it, because the engine behind that and that what the game gives you is so similar. I mean, I do mean that anime bad or whatever. You just exchange the coaster with the animals, you know what I mean? And you still have the same kind of creation feeling. I do know that many people will disagree now, especially the coaster enthusiasts, but for creators, I must say it is this way. We have this wonderful new game, Planet Zoo, which is like the new candy in the store, and you just get that. But every now and then, and I remember when I came back to Planko a few weeks ago, it really felt like home immediately. And having all these stories, you really notice that the stories are what makes it. It's all about these stories, and I gotta say, Bo was not lying to you at all. It is really the best community ever, and I've been also in plenty of communities. I remember that I've been in a lot of football communities when I was playing a lot of FIFA and Pro Evolution Soccer in the past, and oh my god, this is so toxic. I mean, you do have, first of all, the competitiveness of these people because of their own favorite clubs, and then you get the competitiveness of online games, and then you have the competitiveness of being in an anonymous online forum. God, that was the worst. And especially with theme parks, which I didn't believe in the first place, that they can be such a topic of discussion, but I learned.
I know.
I thought I was a geek. I thought I was a nerd of theme parks.
I know.
Like a week in, I was like, no, I'm a stupid fool. I'm like an idiot. I don't know anything.
Honestly, when I started to do the Let's Plays, and like someone would say, "Oh, do you know who designed this ride?" And I'd be like, "No," and then like it'd be like I looked up, the Wikipedia page. People would be like, oh, I've got so many facts about this random thing. And it's so fulfilling. Like, it's so much fun. Because the thing is, like, honestly, being part of a community like this, I always feel like I'm learning. And not in both the sense of, like, I feel like I'm learning from feedback. Like, oh, this is what people want. Let me pass on to the devs and see what can happen. So I feel like I'm learning that way. But I also just feel like I'm learning because I see the strangest stuff. Like, I see people build the coolest things, and it's like, wow, I don't know how they did it, and then you learn why people know this stuff because they've done so much research and things like that. And it's like, it's very easy to keep talking about content creators as yourself and Sylv and Lady, for example, because we see your mindset when you're making things, like, because we're watching a speaker.
I hope you don't see our minds, because
But we're seeing you come to a conclusion. Like, we know that you have the image in your mind, and we know that you're trying to get to that destination, so we can see you do it. But like, then you actually meet, the community people in real life, and you're like, oh, do you like coasters? And it's like, you've opened like the floodgates. They're like, I love coasters. I just tell you anything. So, when I was lucky enough to get to go to the Efteling with the community, and then I was walking around the park, I don't know any of the history. Before I started working at Frontier, I'd never even heard of the Efteling. So then when people would be like, are you coming to the Efteling this year? And I'd be like, yeah, sure, I don't know what that is. And they'd be like, you don't know what it is. So then when you start,
you open the box of Pandora. Yeah.
It's like, then when you start walking around and you get people telling you like, oh, this is the fairy tale behind this in the forest, for example, and this is the mindset behind this ride, and this is, why this ride is so special because it's one of a kind and because of this reason and stuff like that. And you're like, whoa. Like, honestly, how did you know that? But
exactly my feelings.
It's the same. Yeah, it's the same across the board. Like, I know that Frontier have got some very interesting focuses in their game. We've got a game dedicated to coasters and rides for theme parks. We've got a game for zoos and animals. We've got a game for dinosaurs, and we have a game for spaceships and space and stuff. So they're very easy to be nerdy over. But then I know that us as community managers and even us as devs, like, you think that you know what you're doing, and you come across the community, and it's like every day is a learning day. Like, you learn so much, and it is phenomenal. Like, it is. Yeah,
it's really cool. Express. But I think at one point you're really like, it's also for me, it was kind of the best realization. You don't have to know all of that, because honestly, you are always in a position of being a curator anyways. You won't, me as a content creator, you as a community manager, and you will always have this one passionate expert about one certain topic, which you will never be able to top. But the cool thing is you can always reach out to them and get the infos you need. And it's so cool. And yeah,
it is really cool. Like, we are really blessed to have such an amazing community, because as you said, like, no one ever looks down on you and things like that.
No, absolutely, it's all eye level. I remember, and maybe that's the last story I definitely need to tell, because I will never forget that moment. I've been working in advertisement for more than 10 years. Holy crap. Okay. I'm just always realizing that I'm already working for over 10 years. It almost felt like starting yesterday. But I've been, you start as a junior, and then you're starting kind of visiting the first meetings and stuff. You're always the guy who fills in the reports, and you grow into it. You get a bit more important, and it's funny, but then you go to some meetings and some conventions and stuff, and it's almost like your title defines who you are able to talk to and who are you allowed to talk to. And if you're like kind of, let's say you go to the dinner and you get some food, and there's another guy in a suit next to you and starting a conversation, and it almost seems like he's interested, and then he asks what you're working at, and if you just have the word junior in your name, he's like, I like the food, see you later. It's like really stupid. And then I've been invited to the Gamescom. And it really is like a little guy coming to the candy shop, even though I've been there like multiple times, but on the other side, not as a creator, but as a fan, so to say. And you get to meet all these people you always looked up to, and you expect to be in a situation where the people are exactly as you expect that from your own world, and it was nothing like that. I think my most favorite story will always be at the Frontier Expo, where we forgot our stuff for recording, and I think it was Das Valdez, who brought his entire freaking luggage for us, for the quality team, and he was kind of the support guy for us the whole day. And that dude is like massive online. He's like one of the biggest streamers and stuff, and that was insane. Like, there was no question at all that you would do this, and in my area, in my business, people would not even look at us. He was like, oh, you forgot your microphone. Oh, that's so sad. See you later. Okay. I'm definitely exaggerating. There are a lot of lovely people in my business as well, but this is kind of what the common, and then you get into the gaming world, and it's so different. And I love that from the first second on. We came to the Gamescom, and I think it took us 10 seconds to be in this back then elite meet. And we felt like home, even though we had no idea what's going on. So just in general, lovely community, and I just want to thank you for having this wonderful hour with me now here talking about all of that.
No, it's my pleasure. It's been a lot of fun. Like, I always enjoy talking to you. You know, I don't get to see you that often, especially this year.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of events being cancelled. And it is like such a downer to think, you know, we won't see each other for so long and things like that. And we had some great times last year.
Yeah, that's true. And
So-
it's gonna be one day. So we look forward to that.
Yeah. But it was very nice to be here, and it's always very nice to. I know that it's not live, but getting to talk to the community for sure.
Yeah,
And
I think we
I hope
can just
this was
let's say we look into the comments, and then maybe we have a chance.
Oh,
next
yeah, I'll
coming
definitely
weeks,
be there.
do it again, and get back to it.
Yeah, hopefully the streams will resume soon, and we'll be able to talk to everybody again live. But until then, I will definitely be reading the comments. Yeah.
If not, you just
And,
join me on a Monday stream or something. So you
Yeah,
can
I
just
hope
jump in Discord.
I
or-
always love seeing the familiar names and faces. So
that'd be
just
awesome.
tell me when just let me know if you.
Oh, I'll do.
If you
I'll
would
do.
like us to
I've got your
join.
Discord. I've got your Discord.
Yeah, just let me know. I'd be happy
Yeah.
to.
Awesome, Chanté. Many thanks, and yeah.
My pleasure. Yeah.
That was amazing. People, I hope you loved it. And yeah, as we just said, put everything in the comments, what you have as questions, and if you have a story you want to relive through, let us know, because we love to take part in that. And yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's been great, and I hope you guys enjoyed this wonderful long video. I will now make my internet provider hate me again for uploading multiple gigabytes, but I don't care. So, thank you so much, Chanté, and goodbye to everyone. See you next time.
See you
around.
all.
Goodbye.
Bye.